Welcome back to Hollywood North Radio, where the celebrities come to play. I am your host, Big Sleeps. Our first guest, he goes by the name of Robbie Genius. He's an educator, he's a motivational speaker, he's an entrepreneur and a comedian. And Robbie, welcome to the show. Welcome to Hollywood North Radio.
Hey, it's so good to be here, man. Thanks for having me. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. You know, just every day is, for a lot of people is a constant struggle. But it just seems that you seem to constantly always find a way to have a smile on your face and keep things moving. I want to ask you a question based off the fact of just looking at your history and what you've done. Growing up in Kingston, Jamaica, I know that, especially as for coming up from a Grenadian mother and a Trinidadian father, get an education. Education is key. What was it that you thought that from that point where you just fell in love with knowledge and wanting to help other people?
I grew up in Seaview Gardens. Life was rough. It was a struggle. Both parents, they haven't completed schooling. Just trying to make ends meet. So life was rough. When I look around me in Kingston, in these areas, the people who were excelling are people who were going into sports, like track and field, football, soccer, and music. A lot of artists, a lot of guys like say, hey, I'm taking up the mic. And it worked for them. But then I was a shy guy. It wasn't working. Didn't work it. It wasn't working. So I have to ask myself, what next? How am I going to get out of this thing?
Right.
And I look and I said, yeah, my one little gift, which was maths, I used it and it helped me. It got me out of poverty. It got me out of the inner city. Education got me out of this situation. I'm going to use it to help others to get out as well. Yes. Yeah. It worked. I taught maths for a while, but as I was teaching, I realized something still was missing. Because one of the things I've realized when I'm in a classroom with lots of students, some are learning, some ain't. Some did their homework, some didn't. And I'm like, what's missing? Why everyone not on the same wavelength? And I realized I pounced on something called Maslow hierarchy of needs. What I found was that most of the students in the classroom, they were at level 1 and 2. They were still trying to find a meal for the night. They were still trying to get a comfortable sleep. Some didn't feel safe because each time we come out of our house, we don't know if we're going back safe. Mm-hmm. So they were struggling at level 1 and level 2 in the community. Now, where does education fall? That would be level 3 and 4, right? Your basic needs are met already.
Okay.
Right? Now, when the students in my classroom, I'm realizing they're not learning, they're not paying attention because they're focusing on hungry, You understand? Hungry. And as a result, I said, all right, I'm going to step out of the classroom and I'm going to focus on something else. Personal development. Helping people to understand who they are and what they want. Because these are important before you can learn anything. Right? If you don't know who you are and what you want, education, knowledge, useless. Means nothing. And to prove that, you look at people when they graduated university. For example, they are 20 years old, 25, and you ask, what did you study in school? Well, I study economy. What do you want to do? I'm thinking and I'm like, I want to be a lawyer. Right? Right. So they went to school, not figured out what they want. They learned something, that's not what I want. But as they got older, they realize that, you know what? I want to help people. I want to help injustice. And then they start to figure out what they want. And then they say, lawyer.
Right. But do you feel that's a lot of the times that they go into situations like that, just going into because I'm just saying, we come from that culture, doctor, lawyer, teacher. We come from that system, especially from us as West Indians. We're supposed to not follow the footsteps of our parents unless they were a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, because they knew that having something like that, you were sustainable to be able to give something back to your kids, the financial security, also helping the community, and so on and so forth. So do you feel a lot of people, sometimes they'll go to university not necessarily doing what they want to do because they're not fitting the bill, and then they finally get to a point where even the maturity starts kicking in, going, I'm not going to be happy if I do this?
Yes, and at that point they start to go along their channel, their path, right? But that is an important stage in their life, because recognizing who you are and what you want, very important. And then you will, whatever you do, you'll find happiness, comfort, and you do it with lots of love.
Did you feel like the moment that you figured out, like, I need to do this, this, and this, when was that? Was it at a younger age? Were you kind of at a point around that same, 25 coming into 30, where you're like, I need to implement all these things? Or did you see it from young and going, I need to follow these steps to get to where I need and want to be?
Two things that were missing from my life growing up. Very important: mentorship. The mentorship was lacking, and mentorship would help me to get to that point earlier. What's important in communities, having people who have reached level 4, and they are the people who pull you up.
Okay.
Level 4, level 5 people, they pull you up, right? That is why when you see communities are stagnant, because everyone in the community are level 1, level 2, level 3. Right? And as a result, every stage I was like figuring it out on my own, trying something, it worked, it didn't work, I learned from it, move on. Right? So when I got into my 20s, that is when things start to shape for me.
Right. Okay.
Shape. Upper 20s, 30s, right? When I reached 30s, that is when I said, this is it. This is it. This is it.
Yes.
I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to help people. I want to teach people these things that I've learned. Understand your needs, your basic needs, and the role they play in your life. Right? Know who you are and know what you want. Those are critical.
Right. Of course.
Yes.
And I was going to get to that, to the motivational speaking, and you went there. Because there has to come a point where, because you said you were shy as a kid, what was it that when it just clicked, like, you know what, I can do this. Maybe it's not with a mic in front of my hand to be a singer, but maybe it's a mic in front of my hand to help motivate people, help show them what I've been through, the things and the tools that I've used to work to find myself and get to where I want to be. And speaking of that, and then being able to go to level 4 to help people.
Yes.
That transition, I mean, that must have been a little nerve-wracking to think that I have a mic in my hand, for one thing. And then when did you get comfortable with it?
And of course, it takes years, right? Baby steps to get there. Now, one of the things that helped me, I watched a lot of people who have done what I'm trying to do. And I've listened to their messages. Believe in yourself. Very powerful. Believe in yourself. One of the things that helped me get over my shyness and be comfortable with people, we are our biggest critique. I may say to myself, I don't want to do it because I'm not good enough. But others are like, you can do it. You're good. I enjoyed it. That was good. And I'm like, really? Yeah, right? So have that belief, that confidence in yourself, very important. Now, I moved to Canada. I grew up in Jamaica, all black country people. I moved out of Jamaica into a world where it's more diverse.
Right.
And I look at each race and I see where we're at. Some are more successful than others. Some are more united than others, right? And I look at where we are at and I see we are struggling along the way in many ways. And I'm saying, there are certain things missing from us: leadership, mentorship, and resources, of course, but it's in that order: leadership, mentorship, resources. And I'm saying, we need more leaders and we need more mentors, you know, to elevate us, to unite us, and also to grow us, right? And I'm saying, this is what I want to do. Now, I started a company called Leighnibor Academy as a motivational speaking company. Motivation and inspirations come from other people, seeing people do what you're trying to do. One of my pilot programs, Profile is all about using people's story to inspire others.
Yeah, I mean, because that for me, I mean, a lot of people, you know, I'm a very confident person. It took years to understand that we all have our insecurities. You know, there was insecurities where I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know. But I figured out like later on, it's just like, nah. I mean, if you go out there and at least you try before you say I can't or haven't, or you know, like you look at little things, like you look at some of the people I look up to in life, and you know. They've all struggled. You know, when you sit there and you say, you know, times like, you know, hey, didn't know where the next meal was coming from.
Exactly.
So when you look at all those things and you separate, when you start to separate all those things that you feel are either an ailment or something that's going to hold you back or whatever, it's all in your head.
Yes.
And motivation is, like you said, watching someone else going like, oh, they did it. Oh, wow, they got the same story that I kind of similar to what I got. And when I figured that out, I was like, you know what? No one wants to see me make it more than myself. And once I put that in my head, it motivated me to want to make sure that I just went out and enjoyed myself and learned at the same time. So being a creative, and as we just spoke about how we have to find things to move forward in our careers and our lives, you know, what is the most important thing you've learned along your journey?
Believe in yourself. Believe anything is possible. You said this, you support this argument as well on my program where you said that, which is we are more alike than we are different. You know, we are one people, you know, and we just need to acknowledge that and be one people.
Yeah.
Be one.
That being said, I mean, we're the center of attention for I think our culture was the center of attention from early 2019 going to 2020, and for many years before that. But I mean, there's a lot of things I believe for myself that were, you know, oh, this is not happening. There's a lot of things in the world that are not happening, but people don't know. For living in this skin, we know certain things as soon as we walk out the door. Did that play a big part in how hard you push to make sure that what you're doing is successful?
Yeah, it does. It does. The thing is, as much as we may feel that we are more alike than we are different, we are not treated that way. And as a result, we have to recognize what does it take for me to get where I want to be, right? Or where I want to go. And as a result, it comes down to you have to prove yourself and also connect with people and opportunities that will work for you, right? Find your corner, find your market, find them and explore them, right? And it that's one of the reasons too that I started my own business. It's because the things that I want to do, I realize the best way to do it is to do it yourself. Instead of sit and cry over it, you just say, you know what? I'm going to take another route. I'm going to do this instead, you know? So yeah, as I said, you know, but believe in yourself, never give up, keep trying.
I have one more question for you before we wrap this up, which I thank you so much for having you on, man, and I really appreciate it. Conversation, like, I mean, key words today, man, motivational and inspiring.
Yes, I appreciate that. And of course, I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for me here and for others, you know. Thank you. You have a great show and you're doing great things.
I want to talk on, I got to ask him one more question because Robbie, you said You're a comedian. What made you get into comedy?
I love jokes, and I always wanted to make people laugh. Growing up, I've always made my friends laugh. Whenever I'm in a room, I'm like keeping the room vibesy, keep the energy going. You know, it's my thing that growing up, you know, Steve Urkel was my guy. You know, Will Smith, my guy. I love it, and I always, you know, like I can do that. I can do that. You know, so recently I started something else. I started another program with Profile, which is, I call it Open Mic. It's on YouTube, where, you know, I do stand-up comedy here in my studio because that's where I'm at. You know, give some jokes and something I'm working on and improving. And also in the summer here, because we can now gather. So I'm gonna invite people to the studio to do open mic, you know, whether you can sing, dance, you know, tell jokes. Come on over to the studio and do your thing. So yeah, I love entertainment. I love jokes, and I try to be funny. And you know.
That's all we can do, man. We all got to look at life. Sometimes that smile can change your day, and that little bit of laughter can change your day. So
keep it real, but make it enjoyable and entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I appreciate it. And we got the interview that you did with me.
Again, thanks for doing the interview with me. Thanks for sharing your story. And of course, you know, we continue to do what we do best, which is to help others.
Always, man. Let me know anything you need from me. You already know, fam.
Definitely, you're gonna hear from me again.
All right. For those of you who just either missed this, it will be posted back up where you can just listen and hear exactly what the one and only Robbie Genius had to say. He is an educator, motivational speaker. He's an entrepreneur. He's a comedian, and he's an educator. Yo, Robbie Genius, everybody. And Robbie, thank you so much for coming on.